Rockets lose 103-89 in Game 7. Series is officially over. Rockets are eliminated from the playoffs, and Minnesota is going to the second round. Well, Golden State's taking on Minnesota in the second round. I'm sorry. Mine's all discombobulated. Um, I was able to watch the game at work. Well, right off the bat, Draymond's hitting wide open threes, despite the fact he was 2 for 8, but he hit two wide open threes to start the first quarter. That was a gimme. Game was back and forth predominantly most of the first half, except towards the end when they started pulling away. Buddy Hield started hitting some 3-pointers that was giving the Warriors like a 15-point lead throughout the rest of the second quarter. And then Stephen Curry had a pick that was off a pick and roll and got in between two defenders and like heaved it up for a 3-point shot. He was kind of absentee in the first half, but most of his points came in the second half. The Warriors pulled a 51-39 lead at halftime. And then from there, it was just all Buddy Hield. 33 points. With I think he tied for the most 3-pointers in NBA history. 9 3-pointers. That pretty much says enough right there. I don't need to read any more stats. I just know that all 5 starters for the Warriors, except for one of their starters, I think it was Pozinski, he had 9, but all the other Warriors were in double figures. Double-double, basically. Even Dre, I think, had 16 points. Curry had 22, I believe. And I think Jimmy G had like, what was it, 24 or something like that. Well, I called it. It said Warriors were going to beat us in 7, and that's what they did. Some of the big mistakes, obviously, the Rockets made was, I still can't figure this one out, is why the fuck did we only have 3 of our bench guys playing? Oh, my God. As we didn't learn from the last loss that we had in Game 3 when the Rockets only had 8 starters or only played 8 guys in a rotation, and you fall right to the same game plan and fall to an 8-man rotation in a Game 7, a pivotal game. It's unacceptable. 1 second, guys. So you only have 8 guys playing. Not good enough. Steven Adams, who was explosive in Game 6, well, he only had 3 points. So he was getting the minutes, he just wasn't getting the points like the previous game. Another notable mistake that we made was and maybe I don't know if the NBA needs to do something about this shit, but for some odd reason, like whenever it's halftime and the fans go up there to buy beer or alcohol or food, I noticed that they take forever to come down for the second half. So you see a bunch of empty seats, especially like front row. And I've been noticing this around the league. Like whenever you watch the start of the third quarter, like it looks like nobody's there, but they're upstairs drinking or eating or whatever. And it's like there's no fans like back in the seats. I don't know if that's a traffic issue or just the lines are too long or whatever. But yeah, it just didn't look too good. The fans, in my opinion, didn't look like there was no energy in the building. I noticed that in the first part of the game, but predominantly in the second half, there was like zero energy from the fans. Didn't really feel like home court advantage at all. Or maybe that's just me, because I didn't go to any of the games this year, and I didn't go to Game 7. But I can tell from a naked eye test that there was no energy from the stadium. So, it didn't feel like we had the home court advantage at all. Yeah, long lines everywhere. It's probably what it is. Well, of course, I think Amin Thompson was our top leading scorer. I think he had 17 or something like that. Of course, Jalen Green didn't score too much, as usual. Didn't step up. And we didn't have any bench points. So, like we had the bench points in the previous games, we didn't have any bench points today. Not much. It's not much to talk about. I think we had like 5 points off the bench. We only played 3 bench players. Just unbelievable. Well, the Warriors did exactly what we did to them in Game 6. Was we managed to keep a double-digit lead throughout the game. And instead of Curry trying to play hero ball, he put the ball in the hands of other players, and Buddy Hield was the guy who stepped up and hit major threes. and was able to, be I guess, the hero in the cape. Not all heroes wear capes. Well, Curry didn't need to wear the cape today. He only had 3 points the first half. He definitely didn't. The rest of the points came in the fourth. But Buddy Hield's, the star of the day, 33 points. Can't really compete with that. Um, so there's obviously, a new shooter in town, right? And, the Warriors, that's definitely where experience kind of trumps youth in a game seven like this, where it's a lot of pressure for young guys to step up. I just didn't see the energy in game seven. I didn't see like the fight. I saw sort of what it looked like in game one, where they looked a little bit over anxious. It seemed like I guess it's the pressure of a game seven elimination game was kind of probably getting to them. And I can kind of sense that. The fans in the arena were, I didn't sense the energy in the building at all. And, there were moments where we did come back, sure, but, at the end of the day, the Warriors were hitting the key shots, getting the defensive stops, and it is what it is. We lost. So we lost 5 times. And, I was reading the comments about, the Warriors keep beating us. But if you think about it, this time's a little different than the previous 4 times because we have a new roster now. So technically, you can't compare this time to the other 4 times, even though all time they obviously beaten us 5 times. But this time's a little different because we had a young squad and stuff like that. Our backs were against the wall. It was more pressure for Golden State to win than it was for us to lose. So I guess in game seven, they turned out and they ended up beating us. I had a lot of fun. This was a fun season. We went 52 wins, finished the second seed in the Western Conference, and argumentatively had the number 1 seed for a while. And so this team definitely showed up. Devastating game 6. Oh, yeah, Pistons lost 3 in a row at home. That sucked. One thing I will say is I'm glad the Rockets did take Warriors to 7. I love the trash talking. I love the fact that they went out there and was just fighting for loose balls and just players were just standing up to those veterans. I like that shit. They didn't show any quit in them. We really only got blown out 1 game, and that was the first game. Mind you, this in game 7, I guess you can probably compare the same thing to the double-digit loss. But, we hey, what's going on, Raymond? Just a tough defeat, man. And, again, it's, finishing the 2nd seed and losing to a 7 seed's not cool. I think it's only like the 4th time in 25 years that this happened. So, it's not a good feeling to have, but at the same time, this was a young Rockets team that's up and coming. I say keep the roster together and let them continue to, play together for years to come. So, another thing I want to mention, I want to give a shout out to the Warriors players that were giving the Rockets props after the game. I was watching a lot of the press conferences. Dre was giving a shout out to Houston, giving a shout out to our players. You had Stephen Curry did the same thing. Buddy Hield did the same thing. Shout out to Houston, blah, blah, blah. Was giving a shout out to the players or whatever. And Steve Kerr did the same thing. Great sportsmanship on their part. I didn't really expect them to do that. I was expecting them to trash talk throughout the game or after the game, which that's kind of expected. But they showed a lot of good sportsmanship, so, I got to give them props or credit where credit is due on that. They were saying that we fought them pretty hard and stuff, so that's pretty good. It wasn't like an easy, sweep or a gentleman's sweep, what they call 4-1 or whatever, or even 4-2. We took them the distance. And, so I give the Warriors players a shout out for that. Like I said, this is 5 defeats now. This is a stinger, but I'm something I'll get over. I'm still going to watch basketball. I'm still going to, yeah, Clippers. Oh, Nuggets just raped the Clippers. So, Steven Adams was asked at the end of the game, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, and he's going to remain in Houston. To me, I wouldn't be shocked if he leaves because he wants to go somewhere where he can win before his career ends, and I get that. You want to put yourself in a title position, so that's understandable. we're still kind of a couple of years away from being a title contender. Depending on free agency moves we make, who we draft, and how these players develop, of course, is going to all the chemistry and everything. And so I can understand if he wants to, win now sort of ordeal, win now approach, and he's going to want to go somewhere where he can be like that extra piece to a championship contending puzzle. So I understand if if he wanted to leave. It's understandable. Not, wouldn't knock him if he, decided to go. I would like him to stay, absolutely. But if he wanted to leave, I would understand. I like this roster. We have some very good up and coming players. And I think we should keep them together. I would not want to get a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo in the offseason or Kevin Durant or anything like that. I'd rather keep the core of these young guys together and then sort of let them go through the growing pains of losing and then become winners in the end. And maybe make a title contender, in years to come. Maybe like another 2 or 3 seasons and let them develop together because I like this core unit of guys. There's a lot of great chemistry there. And I want to keep the ball rolling. We finished the second seed, 52 wins. It took us 4 years to get to this point, 5 years since the Harden departure. And this is our technically first winning season since the Harden departure in the bubble in the 2020 season. So I felt like in the long run, the wait was worth the while, and allow this team to just get to develop and get better with these young guys. I wouldn't want to mix it up and have to trade the house for KD. Or have to trade the house for Giannis. I would rather just keep what we got and just let the cards roll as they may. Of course, you don't want to lose. You want to win. But, it is what it is. It just wasn't our time. And I can't wait for next season. That's all I got to say. I do plan on going a couple of Rockets road games this year at San Antonio, at Dallas. Maybe go to New Orleans, go to a game or something, maybe Atlanta. Just kind of look at the list and see what my options are for next year, depending on timing and everything. Because this year they screwed the NBA schedule up. I didn't like the way that they scheduled our road games. They scheduled back-to-back San Antonio games, October 28th and the 30th. That shit was stupid. They gave us the 31st against at Dallas. I literally couldn't take any time off for those days, so it just was like it wasn't good for me. Maybe next year it'll be better. But I'll tell you what, Indiana won in Cleveland and got the upset. It doesn't shock me. That series will go 7. In fact, all these series potentially can go 7. Denver, OKC, I got it going 7. Minnesota and Golden State could go 6. Boston and New York, but Boston's won 8 out of their last 9 times. They swept the Knicks this year. That could potentially end in 5 or 6 right there. Hey, Azul, what's going on? 1 second, guys. Anyways. And then you got Cleveland and Indiana. So there's now down to 8 teams officially now. I think 2 games are today. It's going to be Thunder, the Nuggets today at 7, and then it's followed by the Knicks and the Celtics. Be the later game. So Indiana takes the first game in Cleveland. It sort of now opens up the series now. I still expect that series to go 7. I think it'll go to full distance. Indiana's definitely a young and hot, improved team. I like Tyrese Halliburton. I like Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam adds that veteran presence to the mix. They got a very good team. I like that Indiana Pacers squad. And then of course Denver Nuggets are still there. I like Jamal Murray. I like the Joker going up against SGA and Dort and Chet Holmgren. That's going to be a decent matchup right there. I'm going to like that. So a lot of basketball still to be played. Still 8 teams to go in the dance. Who's going to go to the NBA Finals? Who's going to win the whole thing is still kind of yet to be determined. Jalen Brunson, number 1 enemy in my city. Oh, man, he dropped 40 in Detroit. Man, that dude is a beast. Have you seen him on the ISO? One-on-one? I don't know. I think Boston can contain him, though, on the ISO. Is outside of Jalen Brunson, they have Towns, but Towns is he's iffy. So I think Boston is going to beat the Knicks. It wouldn't shock me if that ends in 5. I just think Boston is outmatching the Knicks. I think Boston beats the Knicks in 5. I don't see that series going past 5. I think it's going to be. I had Boston coming out of the East. I'm still going to go with that. So I got the Celtics going to 7. I got the Celtics coming out of the East. Well, the West, I did have the Lakers, but that's obviously not going to happen. But I did have Denver going to the Western Conference Finals. But now the question is if Golden State goes there or Minnesota, that's going to make things a little interesting. So, still a lot of basketball left to be played. Brandon Rogers, how you feel about your Minnesota Timberwolves? They're going to, I mean, you didn't have them beating LA. I sure as hell didn't. I had Lakers in 5, Minnesota in 5. Can Minnesota repeat that same dominance and beat a good Warriors team? I mean, they did against the Lakers. They could beat the Warriors. And imagine if they're able to pull that off. I mean, if Minnesota can go in and beat the Warriors and then have to go on the road and let's just say beat a Thunder or a Nuggets team in the Western Conference Finals, that could be one of the greatest runs in the NBA Finals history for them to be like an underdog in this and be able to pull it out with the Julius Randle, with the Anthony Edwards, and able to pull that off, and then Rudy Gobert as well is looking like Akeem Olajuwon out there. Well, I will say that I got to give credit where credit's due. NBA is back and it's fun to watch it. I didn't think I would actually say this, but it's fun watching basketball again. I haven't had this feeling in 6 years since Toronto won. I haven't had that feeling since. I've watched the NBA Finals the last couple of years. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say the Denver Finals wasn't cool to watch, or watching the Bucks beat the Suns in 2021. I'm not going to say that wasn't exciting, or when Boston won last year. But the basketball playoffs has not been this exciting since Toronto won. When Kawhi Leonard did that fadeaway over Joel Embiid and the Sixers and won at the buzzer. And then ended up beating the Golden State in one of the most epic finishes of all time. I would have to say that since 2019 there hasn't really been in that consistently good basketball. What I will give credit to, I will say that the NBA did a good job in promoting the playoffs. I think they did a really good job. I think they came in and told these players, you guys are going to have to stop this little friendly shit y'all are doing after the game, and y'all need to start actually building these rivalries up, because we have no rivalries in basketball outside of Bucks and Pacers. There's no hate for each other. I know Draymond Green hinted around this, and I actually agree with him. And now you're starting to see rivalries building amongst these teams, natural hate for each other. Teams are competing to actually win. March Madness feel. Basketball's been exciting. I've watched every game so far in the playoffs. I've watched all the highlights. I even watching ESPN and them doing breakdowns on the game. I'm like, wow, when I'm at work now for 12 hours, I watch nothing but NBA basketball in the playoffs, and I think it's great. I don't even follow NFL draft. Usually I follow the NFL draft every year around this time because basketball sucks so bad. But now, since it's actually entertaining, I have forgotten about it. NFL existed. I forgot the NFL draft existed. I'm looking past it. I don't even know who the players we got. That's how crazy this is. I haven't even paid attention to the players we got. And so I'm going to have to go back and look at that, and then look at the NFL draft times and dates on May 14th. Now, we're going to look a little forward to that because I'm curious to see who the Texans play week 1. But other than that, this NBA did a very good job in promoting the playoffs. I will admit they did a very good job. And the players sold it. Even if they're faking it, they're doing a damn good job. They should get Academy winning awards. Whatever the work is they put on these promos and stuff to get these players hyped up for the playoffs, they did an excellent job. They got the fans involved. The fans are excited to watch basketball. And I haven't had this feeling in 6 years, before COVID and 2019 season. So before that, it's been boring basketball the last 5 years. I think the pandemic did a number on the NBA. Yeah, absolutely. Hope Brunson Knicks knock out the Celtics. Maybe an upset thriller. 8 teams left. Thunder, Nuggets, Wolves, Warriors, Celtics, Knicks, Cavs, Pacers. This is going to be an interesting playoffs. Now the second round has begun, and most of the teams either swept or they won in 5. And the only one that went 7 was Rockets, Warriors, Clippers, Nuggets. I'm sorry. What do you think was the best series of all the 8? I'd have to say hands down Clippers, Nuggets, hands down. Best series to watch. I would say second is Warriors, Rockets. It was a fun series. And I would say third, Knicks, Pistons. And then 4, I would say probably Bucks Pacers because of the trash talking. I love that shit. Well, you enjoyed it? Yeah. Yeah. The Knicks Pistons, the Clippers and Nuggets was the best series of the first round, hands down. Then it was Rockets Warriors. Then it was Knicks Pistons. If Knicks Pistons went seven, let's just say hypothetically that went seven, I would put that series over the Rockets Warriors. I'd move Rockets Warriors to three. But because Rockets Warriors went to seven, I got to give them second best watched. And then I would put, and then even though the Pacers beat the Bucks in five, I still say that series was the fourth best entertaining series to watch. The most boring series to watch, I would say probably Cavs and Heat. Very boring to watch, very lopsided. Cavs pretty much dominated every game. I mean, I know got game two, the Heat kind of kept it close a little bit, but it was the fourth game was just pathetic. Like 50-point Cavs lead in the third, like that's crazy. I would say Cavs Heat. I would say probably the Celtics Magic was a very boring series. Magic was lucky to still win and get the gentleman's sweep. Then I would say probably the T Wolves Lakers was a very boring series. And then I would put Memphis and OKC, despite the fact that OKC swept the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies were actually in game two, and game three was not that bad to watch. And in fact, Memphis should have won game three up 30 until John Morant got hurt. Now, could it have been possible Morant would have played? They would have won game three? Absolutely. And then could they have won game four? Maybe. Because game four, Memphis actually did try to win that game. And I will give them credit to that. They hung in there. So it made it a little bit entertaining to watch from game three and four perspective. Yeah, absolutely. Tyler Hero shit in the bed once again. Yeah, the Heat cat, and then I think was it Tyler Hero or somebody commented, "We're not getting swept in four," and then the game four they were down by like 50. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. The offense was slow all game. Yeah, Spider, I agree with that. I think if you were Golden State, somebody else had to step up outside of Curry, and that guy was Buddy Hield. He was that guy. 9 3-pointers. He stepped up. No one expected him to step up, by the way. I definitely didn't see it coming. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I just didn't expect him at 33 points on 9 for 11 from the 3 point line, 3 point range. And, guy had, and I guess like what I'm also taking from all this is that I'm kind of at peace with the Warrior Rocket rivalry, even though there's really, from a perspective, they beat us 5 times. So it's like, well, how's that a rivalry? And I'm like, just from all the years of us, like the grudge matches, there were some years where we lost very badly to them. I think 4-1 in 2015. We almost got swept. We went to seven with them once before. I think that was the 2017 season. And then this time we went to seven with them again. So the last two series we played Golden State, we pushed them to the brink. We just didn't get that fourth win. And, I'm kind of at peace now, or the obsession that we have to beat the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm kind of at peace with that because I think that, at the end of the day, the Warriors showed good sportsmanship and it kind of died down at the end of it. I was expecting Dre to run his mouth. In previous years when he's beaten us, he's done that. Curry, the same thing. Clay, even though he's not there no more, they've done the same thing. Steve Kerr, talk a lot of shit, whatever. And that usually happens after the games and stuff. But I think over the years now, there's like that little respectability and then paying homage to us. So I guess from that perspective, I can kind of give them their flowers for that, if that makes sense, and say, okay, they gave us our props for that, for at least, saying, hey, these guys did really fight hard. And they did, you know. I can't believe the NBA players, what the NBA players say anymore. They are drowned with money. Well, again, I think that this year the trash talking was a lot better. The rivalries were built up a lot better in the playoffs. And the players were actually trying to win. And I think in previous years, we were missing all that. Players were being openly too nice. And then they would club after the game and stuff. You didn't really see too much of this in this NBA playoffs. Players were actually taking the playoffs seriously. And I think that may be the league coming down on them saying, hey, we need to build these rivalries back up again. And it's been kind of absent since COVID started. And 2019 was probably the best year when Toronto won. That was probably the best time, the best year in NBA basketball since, well, in the last 6 years is what I mean. So it's been a lot. It's been exciting. They really promoted the NBA this year pretty good in terms of the playoffs. So now I'm actually learning all the players. Previous years I couldn't name anybody on any roster, and now it's like I'm actually learning all the names to all the players. I think that's pretty cool. Football's not around for a while, so it kind of keeps my mind occupied till June. Will I still be covering games? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, he did go crazy. Yeah, I think he made 9 years. I think he made 9 3-pointers. That's insane. Yeah, I think somebody other than Stephen Curry had to step up because I think that the Warriors were already expecting the Rockets to put that pressure on him, to force him to do the under 40% shooting like he did in Game 6 and 5, and said, hey, there's got to be somebody else that's going to step up, and Hill's that guy that did it. He stepped up for the Warriors and made some big marquee shots, big marquee threes that kept the Warriors in that double-digit lead throughout the first half. I think once that Hill kind of went off, I think that from there, the Warriors were able to keep the momentum going. And then once Curry kind of ran around that pick and roll, ran in between two defenders, and then heaved that three, and it went in, it sort of like solidified, their stance in terms of like keeping that lead and maintaining it, going into that, carrying that momentum into the second half. You're up 51-39 to start that third quarter off that three from almost half court. And it's just, Curry didn't do shit in the first half. We held him down, but it's Hill that stepped up. Like I said, I think the Warriors are, I think Curry said it best in the press conference, and I can kind of agree with him, as he said, I didn't want to be that hero, I didn't want to be that hero guy to have to step and play hero ball, which means he's heaving up threes to try to either keep pace with the Rockets like he did in Game 6 or like he tried to do in Game 5 and then Game 2. Then he said, basically he was kind of like saying, hey, I need other players to step up, And one quote that Draymond said, I think they had like a team dinner yesterday. I was watching his press conference. He said something in regards to winning builds confidence or something like that. And I don't remember the second part, but I thought that was pretty deep. I had to tell his players that, because Warriors were kind of struggling the last two games, and we kind of held them against the right grain. And so, that speech was pretty good, And, one thing I liked that Draymond said after the game was over, he said that, the Rockets got a good team going forward. I'd keep the roster I got. And he said, you never know when you're on top until you're not. And so I think that's carries a lot of weight. And that's what I was saying going into the offseason, I wouldn't trade any of these players. I'm not going to make a big trade to get Giannis. I'm not going to make a big trade to get Kevin Durant. I don't want Kevin Durant here. I don't even want Giannis here. I don't want any of those guys here. Devin Booker, none of them. I think those players, they want to be on a championship roster late in their careers or going towards their 30s and up. And why would they want to go to a team that's not there yet? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. So that could mess with the morale. And that takes the pressure away from the younger players to develop and have to put the ball in the hands of somebody who's ball hogging most of the points and doesn't make other players better. Giannis, Kevin Durant, as talented as they are, they're individual basketball players, ISO basketball players. That's all they are. They don't make other players on the team better. No, nothing personal, just is what it is. They're the type of guys that you insert into a team that already has all-stars. And then they're the added third or fourth piece to the puzzle to solidify a superstar team. Then you can, then the pressure's not on them for other players to get better because they have 2 or 3 stars already there. That makes sense, right? Like, look at James Harden. He's talented, ISO basketball player. The step-back three is nasty. 16 years in the league. James Harden never missed the playoffs. I'll give him credit for that. Played 11 years here and brought us to playoffs every year. The thing with James Harden is, with no disrespect, he doesn't make other players better. James Harden's the kind of guy that you'd have to put on a 4-man superstar team, and then you'll probably get a championship from him. Other than that, If you were to build a team around James Harden, build a team around Kevin Durant, build a team around Giannis, they're going to have the ball 70% of the game. And I just don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? I would rather have our young guys develop into stars and they all sort of feed off of each other and develop that chemistry rather than just having one guy with the ball 80% of the time while the other guys are just standing there in the court not getting the ball. And then you have to have other players step up, and you don't have those players like the Bucks, unfortunately. No disrespect for Bucks fans, but Giannis does not make other players better. The same thing with Kevin Durant. That's why I prefer not to have them. I don't want them here. With no disrespect, they're better off in a situation where they're already with the championship contending team. Like let's say Kevin Durant would go to Dallas. You got KD, you got Kyrie, Clay, AD, and then KD. And this, you got four guys that can play with each other. That to me would be a better fit for Durant than just putting him in Houston with a bunch of young guys and have to trade the house and have possibly no roster around him, and he ends up like in a situation like Phoenix again. I don't want that here. I don't want none of that here. I'd rather just have the young guys we got. Well, what's going to be the most entertaining NBA series to watch in round two? That's a good question, Marvin. I would say, let's see, what are all the series? I know the Warriors in Minnesota are going to bring it. I'm not going to say that's not going to be a good series. But if I had to pick, I think the most entertaining series is going to be the OKC Denver matchup. Absolutely, hands down. It's going to be the best one. I would say Cleveland, Indiana is possibly going to be that second one that you're going to look forward to. It's going to be both of those series. I think the most boring series is probably going to be Knicks and Celtics. And it's going to be due to the fact that the New York Knicks have lost to the Celtics 8 out of 9 times and got swept this year. So everyone's expected, okay, well, Jalen Brunson plays ISO basketball and nobody else on his team is good. So that's what's going to be kind of the story behind this series is that can the Knicks outscore the Celtics with just Brunson? I don't think they can. I believe that it's going to be I believe that the Celtics are definitely going to outmatch the Knicks. They got White, they got Brown, you got Tatum, you got Horford. And then you got Pritchard off the bench, who's also a damn good 3-point shooter. I don't think the Knicks, outside of maybe Anunoby and Brunson and Towns, I don't think they can match up against the Celtics. No, I think the Celtics win in 5. And people are going to be looking at me like I'm crazy, but I do believe that. I think that's going to be the most boring series. And the Celtics are just going to outman the Knicks. I think the Knicks got maybe one win out of that. Maybe like a game 3 or a 4 in that case. But I got the Celtics definitely winning that series in 5. Absolutely. And as far as, the Cavs and Indiana, I think Cavs win game 2. I think they tie the series. I think you're looking at a nice 7-game series. I think they're going to push each other to the brink. You're going to see both of those teams are going to be fighting. It's going to come down to a big game 7 in Cleveland. That's what I'm predicting. As far as the Thunder and Nuggets, I think that series will also go 7 games. I call it crazy. I think Denver can win that series. I think they can win in 7 in OKC. Even though I like OKC and I like their firepower, but they're still a young team, and I like Denver and their veteran presence, man. I like that Jamal Murray. I like that Joker and it clutching the paint. Is Holmgren going to drive the Joker out to the 3-point line? That's going to be a little interesting to see that matchup there. And then, Minnesota, I'm not going to say Minnesota and Golden State is not going to be a good series. I think it potentially could be a good series. But like I said, I think the Knicks is going to be a boring series. I think Celtics will win early. I think Golden State, Minnesota will probably be the second. Third to last, and I think the top 2 series are going to be pretty good. I think that's just, again, my opinion in regards to that. Tatum or Anthony? Anthony. Which Anthony are you referring to? Hold on. Oh, Anthony Edwards. Is that who you're referring to? Ant-Man? Yeah. Okay, Ant-Man. Ooh, that's a good one. Um, I don't know. Ant-Man's a little cocky, a little arrogant, but he does show it on the court, so I'll give him credit to that. I think that I think that he's I think he overhypes himself more than what he actually is. But to be fair, he does show up on the court. I will give him that. He has the numbers behind it. Um, I like Tatum too. I think talent wise, I'll go with Anthony Edwards for his explosiveness. But in terms of like actual conservative, outside perimeter jump shooting, back to the basket, fadeaway jump shots, and if you want a player in the clutch, I'm gonna go with Tatum. For that championship experience, I'm gonna go with Tatum on that one. So they both got their pros and cons. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. Um, I'll tell you the most underrated player in the league right now. Absolutely is Rudy Gobert. He's looking like Akeem Olajuwon out there, just dominating the center position right now. His footwork is crazy. The backdoor alley hoops are amazing. He's averaging a double double a game in the playoffs, 25 plus points a game. So I got to give him his flowers. I had that guy written off. I thought he was a joke for all these years. I thought he was a very overrated basketball player. And for some odd reason, in this playoffs, he definitely has shown like he's matured a little bit more. He's got his basketball IQ's up, and he's scoring points. And in a league where obviously you're going to need points to win games, and he's doing exactly that. So he's the most underrated player in the league right now. Absolutely. But yeah, this playoffs is definitely going to be exciting. We still got a lot of basketball to go. Which team is the worst team in the second round? Knicks. I know, right? I have the Knicks. I got the Knicks as like the little worst of the eight. The best one. The most underrated team right now are the dark horse. To think Pacers, but with the board the way it is, the best team on the board right now, I'd probably still go with the Cavs at number one. It's very hard, but I'm gonna have to go with Cleveland. I know they lost that game one, but still, I'm gonna go with Cleveland for the best team on the board. So most overrated team on the board. uh now you're really testing my patience. It's nothing personal. I'm gonna go with Thunder. I think the Thunder's very overrated. I'm not going to say they're not good, but I think with Denver's bigs, it's going to be hard for OKC to run the court against Joker, against Jamal Murray. I think they got the size and the veteran presence. I think they could beat the Thunder. Absolutely. I think the Thunder's probably going to be the most overrated right now. I might end up eating my words for that. We haven't seen anything yet. Yeah, absolutely not. Jack, the scary thing is, Ann is just scratching the ceiling. If he stays healthy, his potential through the roof. D. Mitch is the most underrated. Okay. Donovan Mitchell, I won't say underrated, maybe unappreciated. He flies under the radar. He's just as cold as any superstar out there right now. Absolutely. Luka or Donovan Mitchell? Donovan Mitchell. Luka, man, that guy, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's looking like Zion Williamson out there. No disrespect, Zion, but if Zion stays healthy and conditions well, he's actually not that bad. He's put up some decent points in New Orleans before the season ended. He had some actually double-double games and triple-doubles, but he can't stay healthy, and he's not worth the contract he's getting. So New Orleans made a big mistake in dumping off all that money his way. But Luka, that back's starting to get to him, and his lack of conditioning is starting to show. The miles on his legs are starting to show. He's got a nice floater. His aim is pretty good. It's just his drive and hustle's not there. I'm starting to question it. You know, he looks kind of lazy. It's not good. Especially if the Lakers want to re-sign him for 2 years. Not a good move, especially if he's looks lazy, very lazy, and he doesn't condition well. And if somebody's going to throw you a boatload of money, you better start taking your health very seriously in that case. Like for me, I'm not taking my health seriously, but no one's throwing a boatload of money at me either. No excuse, but just saying, you got a guy like Lucas who can make millions of dollars and is supposed to get a contract extension, and you can't condition. That's zero. There's no excuse for that. But then again, you got to be stupid to dump off the truck at him and knowing he's like that, just like Zion Williamson. Same thing. He cries too much and he can't play off bait. Nope, you're right. Zion is better than Luka. Not by much. Luka has to be a man on the team. He can't play Robin. No, he can't. Luka's got to definitely step up. Absolutely. Well, I give the NBA credit where credit is due. You guys actually promoted the damn playoffs, which is something that's been missing in basketball for at least 6 years now. I was even wondering, should we have a playoffs or should we decrease the amount of playoff games due to the fact that players are hurt by the time the playoff starts or they have load management and they don't play half the season. So I think this year they did a really good job in promoting it. That's all I got to say. This is the first time in a while I've actually watched all the fucking games from start to finish. I'm actually going to miss basketball when it ends. Because once second round's over, the games are spaced out more. There's not going to be as much basketball. And then, when the finals start, there's 3 days in between. So you're not going to get basketball every day. So that's going to suck. And then once NBA finals is over, then you got to watch fucking baseball. And I'm not watching baseball until mid-July. And that's every now and then. I'm not going to watch all the games. I'm not going to sit there and watch 9 innings and all that crap. I'm just going to wait till, August to watch. So really it's just, I'm going to have to watch old videos or something of other shit until football starts ramping up again, But I'm actually excited. What do you think about Trae Young? Trae's going to leave Atlanta. Oh, why does Luka need to be Robin? Why not LeBron? If I were the Lakers, I would get rid of LeBron and build around Luka. Ugh. But Luka's not good, man. I don't know. I don't even... Don't get me wrong. LeBron looked like he was on his last... He looked burned out, definitely, in that Game 5. He didn't really drive the basket that much. Most of his shots were the outside shot. Usually he likes to do that explosiveness. He does do that. He did it a couple times, but not as much. The fire didn't look there anymore. He looked kind of burned out, if that makes sense, which would make me wonder, does LeBron stay in LA? Does he retire? Or does he go on a retirement tour with Cleveland maybe 1 year? Would Cleveland want to make that risk for a retirement tour? Or does LeBron go and sort of do the Miami thing but somewhere else? And in my opinion, the only place I could see LeBron doing that, he'd have to go to a team that's already got pieces. I mean, you could throw Denver out there, you could throw Minnesota out there, New York, or LeBron could banana boat to Dallas and go team up with his buddy Kyrie and Clay and AD. Just throwing that out there. I'm throwing Dallas out there because I think Dallas is the next hot spot of superstars going there to try to banana boat a championship, just one more to add to everybody's little finger or whatever. And I could see LeBron joining Dallas with Kyrie, who's already played with, won a ring with, Anthony Davis, who he won a ring with in 2020, and Clay, who he's always wanted to play with. So then now you got that fourth guy inserted, and if they get KD, which rumors has it that that's one of his two destinations, then you're possibly looking at a starting five, the Fab Five, I'd call it. And it's either going to be a fucking meltdown or it's going to be a big success. It's going to be one or the other. It's going to be kind of interesting this NBA offseason. Trae Young, I think, will leave Atlanta. I think Morant's leaving Memphis, absolutely for sure. He can do the little gun thing somewhere else. And Morant will probably go somewhere else. Maybe the land in New York, the Big Apple. Maybe New York will take that contract and take Morant off the test. Play with Karl Anthony Towns and Brunson, maybe. And then you have Trae. I don't know where Trae's going. I think if you're Atlanta, you gotta part ways with him. Trae Young, as talented as he is, He's dragging the team down. He's a short midget. Yes, he's good, but he's not a superstar that's going to take your team to the finals with a midget there. I can't see that happen. No disrespect to midgets, but Trae Young's a midget, and he can't win a championship with Atlanta. He has to go somewhere else where he's that extra piece to that puzzle. Maybe Atlanta can get something in exchange for him and completely move on from that Trae Young experience. That's what I would do. I would build around the players that I have instead of building around one guy who's a midget. No offense, I keep saying the word midget because he is. No offense, Trae, but if you're watching, but you are a midget. Can't have you there. Sorry, got to go. And plus, he has a bad attitude too. So that doesn't look good. So got to get him out of there. Up, out of here. Parity is good for the league. Who's taller, you or him? I don't know. How tall is Trae? I would lead the Lakers. Trae should team up with Bam or go play Wemby. Yeah? You know, I heard a rumor, and this is the rumor, that the Spurs are going to make a big free agency move and that they want to pick up Giannis Antetokounmpo and bring him in to play with Wamba. Now, what does that remind you of? The Twin Towers, Duncan Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, and what was it? Was it Ralph Sampson? Was the original Twin Towers in the 80s? So if you throw Wamba and Giannis, that's actually not a bad combination. And then you still got De'Aaron Fox, who's from here, from Houston, and you got CP3 with his veteranship bringing the ball up the court. I know he's coming off the bench, but maybe they'll bring him off the starting position or run the second unit. I don't know. That's not too bad. I mean, that's not that bad. And then you still got Sokan, who kind of reminds me of a knockoff version of Dennis Rodman with the funky hair and everything. He's got a lot of talent, though, don't get me wrong. So you would have Jeremy Sokan in the lineup as well. It kind of makes things a little interesting for the Spurs, you know. It'll intrigue me to want to get a ticket for the Rockets-Spurs game, I'll tell you that. Are the Spurs going to make a jump? Well, that's what they say. Look, I like Trae Young, but he just, I don't know, man. He's just cocky and arrogant for all the wrong reasons. I think he's a midget shrimp, and I don't think he's going to win a championship in Atlanta with just solely him. If you're building around him, no, absolutely not. I would send him somewhere else and build somewhere else. Absolutely not. Nothing personal to Trae Young. It's just personally, I think he's overrated. I don't know. It's something about him I don't like. It's just he can score. Don't get me wrong. I just think he's an overrated bum. But if you have Trae Young with another team that's got like other pieces, he can kind of feed off of them. Maybe that might work. Maybe that might work out for Trae Young. But if you're talking about slowly building a team around Trae Young, absolutely not. No. I'm just giving my opinion to it, okay? I'm worried about D-Book. D-Book and Bill, I think honestly, if you're Phoenix, you have to think in the long term. I'm thinking if I'm the Suns, do I go the Rockets route? Do I just trade Durant, trade Book and Bill, and get as many picks as I can and do the 5-year wait like the Rockets did? And look how that worked out for the Harden trade. Look at them picks that came in. Look at the players we got over the years. And look how it did. 52 wins. We took the Warriors to 7 for this young group of roster guys and made basketball fun again for the Rockets because the last 5 years it's been non-fun here. And imagine if the Suns said, you know what? We got 3 guys. We went 36 and 46. Do we really want to go this route again with a guy who's known for quitting like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, who's probably not as good as he used to be, and you could tell he doesn't want to be here anymore? Bradley Beal's another piece to another puzzle somewhere. Why not just trade them off and get back draft capital, get them draft picks, and start rebuilding for the next 4 or 5 years instead of having, do it now. If I'm the Suns general manager, I'm I would make the announcement in the offseason. I'm trading Book, I'm trading Durant, and I'm trading Bill, and I'm listening for offers. That's it. I'm completely moving on from those guys. As much talent as Booker still is, I think his miles on his legs are showing, and he's not as good as he used to be. But you can still get some draft picks for him. Do it now, because in 2 years you might not be able to do it. So you got to strike when the iron's hot. I think this losing season for the Suns, 36-46, is indicative to the fact that Kevin Durant quit, didn't play the last 5 fucking games. He's a known quitter. I think you cannot build around Booker again. He's almost 30. You got the other guy, Bradley Beal, who's a veteran, seasoned veteran, and he's just a piece on a missing puzzle for another team that's in contendership. Why not just trade those assets away and then go ahead and get rid of Allen while you're at it? The guy from Duke, that's a veteran as well, because he's just another piece to a puzzle somewhere else. So why not just go to get rid of those 4 bigs, get as much draft capital as you can, even if it's first and second round picks, and just build on that and use the next 5 years to rebuild a completely new house team full of young players who can hoop. And that's how you do it. It's the waiting game, you know? It's the waiting game. I think Phoenix is past that point now. I think they need to get rid of it. I think they need to clean house. Absolutely. You know, it was hard for the Rockets to do that, you know, having to give up Harden. And then next year we had a lot of veterans. And we had Cousins, we had Eric Gordon, we had PJ Tucker, and then we had John Wall. And we had, who else do we have after John Wall? We had a couple other guys, I don't remember. But, it was real bad. And I just said, you know what? Why not just trade all these guys away? You know, plus we had young guys on the team at the time we drafted that weren't even playing. And I'm like, nah, I'd rather just go ahead and get rid of these guys and let our young guys play and then just build in the draft. And boy, did that work out. It was the best move going forward, was to get rid of James Harden. And of course, James Harden kind of hinted, well, maybe I can come back, you know, depending on the players you get. And I'm like, no, thank you. That ship has sailed, sir. You know, you were 11 years here. We appreciate the time you put in here. Don't get me wrong, but that relationship is over. That marriage is ended. It's over. Just like when the day you came out and said, I don't think this could be fixed, you refused to fucking play, that was it. We deactivated him the next day, which was a great move by our general manager at the time to do that, was to go ahead and deactivate James Harden and then go ahead and trade him 24 hours later. I loved it. Like that was the best way to handle it. See, I wish the Texans would have did that with the sexual Watson instead of waiting a whole year and a half and dragging this shit out. I mean, I get it. A lot of teams didn't want to jump on him, and Cleveland eventually took the debate. But at the same time, you drag something like that out, and it's just not working, and it drags the whole organization down. So just, you know, it was just, we made a standpoint that, you know, we can lose without you, and we'll rebuild without you. It's fine. You know, it's business at the end of the day. Nobody holds the ship hostage. You know what I mean? So trading Harden was the best thing, and trading DeSexual Watson was the best thing, was the best move. It's just the only problem with the Texans was they really fucked up on keeping him for longer than they should have. You know, I mean, I get it. There were no, like, trade partners. No one wanted to, you know, suit the trade pending his legal ramifications. But, you know, the fact is you brought the guy around the locker room. He said he didn't want to play. He started becoming a problem in the locker room. Then you had DeAndre Hopkins and his bullshit. So it was just, that was another issue. Oh, why did you give him his money? You didn't give me my money. And then now it just became a complete clusterfuck keeping them. So I just, you know, again, you know, I'm glad that's already over with. It's water under the bridge. But Jesus Christ, that was a nightmare around that time. You had DeSexual Watson and James Harden and their bullshit drama. So I'm just glad I got rid of them. And I wouldn't even take them back on a minimum, veterans minimum. It's just not worth the drama. So I would just say, you know, go ahead and keep James Harden. You know, he can stay wherever, he can go wherever. He wants to be a journeyman around the league for the rest of his career. That's fine. Whatever, get your money, do your thing. But it's just, your time here is over. You go play anywhere else. I don't care where it's at. In Houston, it's over. sir. It's over. Wouldn't want him back. I don't even care if we don't lose any players acquiring him. And he wants to, I'll take a veterans minimum. Nah, good. We've already had that. And they did. It was good for when it lasted. I appreciate your time here, but that's it, man. It's over. That ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. It's like same thing with Westbrook. We don't want him back either. I don't want Westbrook here either. So, and I don't care who. I might take Chris Paul back. I like CP3. He has a good head on his shoulders. I probably might take Chris Paul back, but I mean at this point, 39. I don't know, man. Maybe we'll maybe he'll be better somewhere else. At that point, because Chris Paul's with the Spurs. If Giannis goes there, he'll probably stay. He'll probably resign. So he's probably going to wait to see what San Antonio does, and Spurs bring in Giannis. Then I'll probably compel them to stay, and if they want to bring somebody else over there, that's fine too. I predict Giannis will go to the Spurs, and I predict KD's going to Dallas. That's just my kind of prediction right there. You're going to have 3 Texas teams like full of powerhouses next year. If that is the case, that's going to be nasty. That's going to be nasty. And guess who's going to get tickets to those games? I am. I'm going to go make sure I go to both the home and the road games, baby. If that is the case, ramp up on that one. So underrated, maybe Scotty Barnes. I say Giannis' full name again. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Or I say Giannis. Sometimes I say Giannis. Sometimes I say Giannis. Sometimes I say Giannis. But Giannis, I think it's Giannis with a Y, but it sounds like a G. But I think Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know if I said that shit right. Trade to Milwaukee. Let's see, who do you got? Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis Jr. You got Giannis and Trey and Dame. Not to mention Dame tore his Achilles just recently. So Dame Dollar is going to be out for a year and a half. That's going to suck. Or at least a year. And that's going to suck. That means he's going to be out all next year. Wow. And what a way to possibly have a career-ending injury as he's going to be 35. That's going to be tough right there for Dame Dollar. I feel bad for him. Dame Dollar is one of the very few players in the league that actually has heart. That didn't, I know he went to Milwaukee, but he played most of his career in Portland and actually wanted to win in Portland, a small market team, and gave it his all. Just, they never could get it done. And, I know Portland moved on from him and then, gets this bad injury, and it's just, it's terrible. It's terrible because I actually do like him a lot. I'm butchering his last name, my bad. Well, I do like Dame Dollar, Damian Lillard. But man, I think his career is almost over. He has a Chauncey Billups effect. Remember when Chauncey Billups tore his Achilles? That's a nasty injury. But that's worse than Achilles tear. The Achilles tear is worse than the ACL tear, in my opinion. I'd rather tear my ACL than my Achilles. That is it's a terrible injury to come back from. I know Kobe did it, but that's very few far in between. But Chauncey Billups is one of them. He came off a non-contact injury and just tore that damn thing. It looked nasty. And then, Dame Dollar was the same thing, a non-contact injury, trying to run to the basket, popped that damn Achilles. I knew right there, and then he tore his Achilles. That shit sucked. He couldn't put any weight on his foot. I'm like, that sucks, man. Having an injury like that. It's almost impossible to heal from. Dame's mileage is showing. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. I feel bad for Dame Dollar, man. He's actually one of the most passionate players in the league. He's not very guy for being outspoken. He doesn't trash talk a lot. Lets his game speak for itself. Has a lot of heart, good morale. And that's why Portland had him there for so long. Because of that. He's a Dame Dollar's one of those few guys that I would love for him to play in the Rockets uniform. Because he has a lot of heart. I'll give him that. He's got talent, but that Achilles tear is definitely going to haunt him for the next year, depending on how he rehabs. And it may not even be the same. I mean, he may just have to take a smaller role on the offense now. you got to be careful not to tear that shit again. That is a nasty injury to have. I think Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles, if I'm correct. He's a piece of shit, but I don't wish bad upon a guy like that. Achilles injury is very bad. So, but he's a piece of shit, absolutely. But I don't wish an Achilles tear on him. But Deshaun Watson's definitely, Cleveland must really like that guy because rumors has he's going to start again next year. But the good news is Cleveland got a bunch of quarterbacks in the draft, including Shedeur Sanders, who could possibly be a good quarterback. I don't want to rank on him too hard because the whole internet's kind of having fun with him. Getting drafted the 5th round, he lost a ton of money. But, man, I'll tell you, he might be good, but it might be bad because you're in Cleveland, in that shithole where they've known to be a circus for years. And it could be a fun, like where you have an ego like Shedeur Sanders in a circus like Cleveland, that might be working out where they're going to be losing a lot, and it's going to be more things to aim at Shedeur Sanders to laugh at him for. I hope that's not the case, but the history of the players that have gone there, like Johnny Manziel, it's possible that it could be a circus. And it ain't good. Just saying. Dame's mileage is showing. Absolutely. We got 8 games. 2 are tonight. Who do I got tonight? Knicks and Celtics game 1. I think the Celtics set this record, and they're going to win by about 20. I think right off the bat, the Celtics are going to set the tempo. They're going to win big. Denver at OKC. Denver just dragged it out to a 7-game series. OKC has a lot of rest. So the advantage is going to go to the Thunder, and I'll give the win to the Thunder for game 1. So I got Thunder protecting home court game 1. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Celtics to win game 2. I mean, game 1, I meant. The doubleheader. As far as the series goes, I think Celtics will win the first 2 at home. They'll secure home court advantage. I think Denver gets a split in that second game, though. I think they'll come back. Joker have a good game. Jamal Murray have a good game. It could be a little back and forth. I think Denver wins by about 6 points, 5-6 points. Denver takes that home court advantage and strips a game there. Yeah. That's my bold prediction is Denver steals a game in OKC, and OKC steals a game in Denver, and the series is split. And then it becomes OKC 1-5, Denver winning game 6 at home, and game 7 is going to be like the Omeka, the tiebreaker. That's what I predict is going to happen. Warriors, Wolves. See, if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, like Brandon Rogers is, I was thinking the other day, and I said this to my buddy. I said, if you're Minnesota, who do you want in the second round more? Do you want a Rockets team who's kind of young, fast-paced, but you probably have more confidence you can beat them because of their lack of experience in the playoffs, but you're on the road having to win those games, but they did it against the Lakers? Or do they play at home against the Warriors and have the home court advantage in the first 2 games at home, but they're going against an experienced team like the Warriors who can win on the road, like they beat us twice on the road, and going up against an experienced team with experienced veteran who've won championships. So if you're Minnesota, are you at home against an experienced championship team who might beat you, or do you risk it and go on the road against an inexperienced playoff team? And I was thinking if I'm Minnesota, I'm going to gamble and hope that the Rockets win, so that I would rather go on the road in Houston and steal a game or 2, possibly, than have to defend home against the Warriors, who are probably favored in that series and has championship experience. So if you're Minnesota, it probably would have been better to have Houston win based on the statistics, the analytics. It would have been better to have Houston win because you can probably have more confidence you could beat us. Plus, you have already advanced to a third round, I think last year. But they got the home court advantage, but it's against the team they probably at least wanted to play. That's going to be interesting, So Minnesota, you have home court advantage. The question is going to be, can you defend it? It's going to be the question now. And the Warriors are no joke. 7th seed, playing like a number 2 or number possibly 1. Curry playing lights out. Butler playing lights out. Pozinski playing lights out. Quentin Post is another underrated player that can shoot the 3 ball. I got to give Quentin Post his flowers. I can't believe I'm actually saying Quentin Post. Pozinski, there's a guy named Pat Spencer who can hoop, even though he didn't get much minutes for the Warriors. But that white guy with that little mustache that goes like this, kind of looks goofy, kind of looks like Where's Waldo. That guy can shoot. He's got he's got a weird shot, but it goes in. That's all that matters is the ball go in. It goes in. Pat Spencer's not that bad. When he gets minutes, he gets playing time, he actually shoots the ball and he runs the second, third unit pretty good. I was actually watching him do that, and even the games we were beating them, and he was running the second, third unit pretty good. I was like, damn, that guy Pat Spencer, whoever, he's pretty good, actually. So I got to give him his props. Credit where credit's due. I'm from Minnesota. Happy they are doing good. Do we feel like we need an upgrade to compliment Ant? Yeah. With this current regime, Celtics will go down as one of the greatest teams of all time. Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Surprised I got 10 people watching, only one's commenting, man. Come on. Share the love for basketball, man. Come on, man. I would say, and this is my personal opinion about the Warriors. I hated the Golden State Warriors, and there's video makers on here I couldn't stand. A lot of them were TTC guys, Trash Talk Circle guys that we go back at it back and forth. I couldn't stand them. It's a little different now. I think now we're past the James Harden, the Dwight Howard, the Chris Paul, the Corey Brewers, the Patrick Beverleys. We're past that era. The Trevor Ariza, the Westbrooks. We're past all that. Now it's a whole new generation of young players. And so at the same time, I said, you know what? This is actually kind of interesting because this is a new page. So it kind of gave me flashbacks of 2017 when Rockets and Warriors were going at it for that NBA Finals. It gave flashbacks of that, And to be honest with you, I would say that this series, despite the Western Conference Finals, is one of the most entertaining Rockets-Warriors matchups I've seen out of the 5. Because it was just, we were so underrated. We had such a young guys who barely made the playoffs first time and was able to push the Warriors to the brink. And I think that alone just excited me for the future, excited me for next year. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm actually looking forward to the NBA lottery draft. I might do a video on that where I watch the NBA lottery draft. And I might actually watch the NBA times and dates release and who the Rockets are going to play and who I would like to see us play in the first game. 82 games. I don't really give a shit. To schedule us against, usually they'll give us somebody good on opening night, like we'll play the Lakers or something, and then we'll play shitty teams like Utah and New Orleans, like the next 2 games. So we're going to see exactly what all I ask is please don't schedule back-to-back games in San Antonio like you did this year. That was terrible. Then you schedule a Dallas game on Halloween night, right after the Spurs games, on the road. So all those home games, those road games I wanted to go to that were spread out through the year in previous years were all crammed up in 3 days. That is insane. Change that shit. Fix it. I didn't get to go to the Houston and Dallas game February 22nd. I didn't go to that game. No. My buddy Travis went. I sent him to the game. But yeah, I've been to a couple Rockets road games. I've been to when they went to San Antonio, when they went to Dallas. Maybe I might put OKC on my radar in the future. Maybe I might put New Orleans on there or Atlanta. That would be pretty cool. Just in the future, Dallas, San Antonio, not that far. Spurs, 3-hour drive. San Antonio, 4-hour drive to Dallas, give or take. OKC is about another 6 hours from Dallas. So unless if we play like at Dallas, maybe at OKC, I could probably put that in my road trip package. But I don't know, we'll wait and see. Like I said, this second round is going to be fun, man. I'm going to cover NBA basketball for the rest of this playoffs, at least. But I don't know. Will I do it tomorrow? Maybe. I might do an NBA video tomorrow. Cover all the games. Why not? Just to keep me entertained. 'Cause honestly, I have nothing popping on my channel. My channel's been dead for quite a while now. I haven't really been making any videos. And the videos I do, I end up deleting them anyway because they get too controversial. So I end up deleting them anyway. I might go back to some of those videos again. It's just right now basketball's just been right here in the dome. So I've just been keeping it strictly basketball at this point. Is there a team that I want to see win the NBA Finals? Absolutely not. But it doesn't matter to me. Whoever wins the goddamn championship is the champion. Doesn't matter to me. I mean, if you're Boston, you won last year. You want what? Repeat this year if you're Boston? Tatum maybe try to win back-to-back. I still believe Boston will come out of the East, though. But can Indiana go in and beat Boston? And if, let's say, Indiana beats the Cavs, can Indiana spoil the mix and beat Boston? I wouldn't mind seeing Indiana win their first championship ever. Just shits and giggles. I like the Tyrese Halliburton guy. He's came out of nowhere. He was a nobody in Sacramento, but he's a somebody now. He's pretty damn good. I like him. Pascal Siakam is showing out pretty good. Miles Turner has that veteran presence, rim protecting, rebounder, and scorer. And he can shoot the three ball. So you got him in the mix. So I like that young Indiana. Indiana's got the best half court right now. If you haven't seen the Indiana's home court, go take a look at it. It's real cool. They got the Pacer logo with it fading in the background. It looks like a shooting star. And then they got Indy spray painted, which looks like a skateboarder, like punk rocker skateboarder look. So they had like a skateboarder, punk rocker, glow in the dark look. And when the lights turn off, they do the introduction. The Indy glows in the dark, and I thought that was really cool. Like to add something really like kind of spunky, kiddish, cartoonish. I thought that was really cool. It brought back the NBA cartoon era from '96 to '01. I thought that was really cool. They kind of tweaked their logo a little bit and made it a little interesting. So I like that. I was wanting the Lakers or at least the Warriors to win. Oh, shit, he could be a superstar if the stars align. Keep Jalen, he's young. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I wanna keep the players we got. You think we should trade Jalen Green? Absolutely not. He struggled in this playoffs, but his regular season stats in Game 2 kind of speak for itself. He's kind of showed up. I would want to keep the players we got. I don't want to trade for no veteran stars. I know that sounds crazy because everybody says, "Oh, bring the veterans here to win a championship." If we had 4 guys, I wouldn't mind. If we had like 4 superstars, that's fine. But I don't want to build around a player who's an ISO basketball player and a ball hog like Giannis, KD. And there's others, but I don't want a player we have to trade the house to build around, have possibly no bench, no future draft picks, and also losing multiple key pieces on our team for one superstar and a half-assed team roster after that. Probably D-League players. Do I want to risk that? No. And if you were to bring KD, you better bring a second star with you. I mean, you're essentially going to have to trade the house to get Durant and possibly somebody to come with him. Is that a risk I'm willing to take? I've seen it. Other teams have done this. The last 5 years showed me it doesn't work. I think now we're driving past the superstar era. Now we can start developing new guys to fill those roles. And so I think we should keep the roster we have now. 52 wins. They played together for 4 or 5 years. We had the second seed in the Western Conference, and we pushed the Warriors to 7 motherfucking games. Excuse my French. Yeah. Exactly. We would build for the future, damn it. I can't actually believe I'm like this enthusiastic about basketball. I never thought I was like, man, I don't need to stop going to Rockets games. I went to a couple of Mavericks games this year. I said, you know what? I don't even want to go to any Rockets games anymore. It's just boring. Basketball sucks. And now the playoffs start amped up. I'm like, man, this is actually kind of cool. Detroit and the Knicks are trash talking against each other. Was epic, man. That was an epic series. I pulled for Detroit to try to win that series. I had to win it in 7 over the Knicks. And if they would have took 2 games in Detroit, Game 4 and Game 6, they should have won those games. Detroit would have taken them, but I don't think Detroit can beat the Celtics, even though I don't think Knicks can either. But I definitely don't think Detroit's inexperienced. They can't beat Celtics in a 7-game series. I don't think Knicks are either. I think Celtics are going to mollywop the Knicks. Wow. Interesting playoffs this year. It's the closest thing to March Madness. Just wait till they bring Vegas and Seattle Supersonics back. Oh yeah, Vegas will be is a new hot spot. They've already got a football team. They got a hockey team. They got a WNBA team. They'll probably have a baseball team. Oakland A's will probably move there, and you're going to have a Vegas basketball team. So they'll probably most likely have an expansion basketball. They'll stay in the Western Conference. Seattle Supersonics will stay in the Western Conference. They'll move either Memphis or Minnesota to the Eastern Conference. The rumors has it they're going to move Minnesota to the East. That'll shake it up a little bit. Like I said, I'm excited for basketball, man. I can't wait till the time the dates come out. As soon as it does, it comes out like I think in August. I'm going to check that out and then look on the schedule to see when we go at San Antonio, when we go at Dallas. And I'm definitely going to make sure I get tickets for those games and make sure I take off for those days. That way I can go and attend those games and have some fun, man. Would you ever go to a Texan game again? I'm going to be honest with you. I like football. I've had season tickets before. Not really my thing anymore. I'm burned out of football like that. I've gone to so many football games. And to be fair, I've gone to a lot of basketball games too. But, I think basketball does a little bit better than football in terms of promoting the actual fan experience of the game. I think if you're not tailgating at football games, you're kind of wasting your time. A lot of people buy tickets just to tailgate, and that's kind of where that real fan experience comes from tailgating. When you're inside the stadium, it tends to be very boring. The commercial time is very boring. They don't really do that many activities. It's like elevator music. It's almost like baseball, the way that they promote the fan experience of the game. And it's not as entertaining. Basketball, they got you, fans doing layups, 3-point shots. They're doing kiss cam. They also do the one where they do the one where they pick contestants to race. They do like they'll drop stuff from the stadium and you try to grab it. It's like free gift cards. The power dancers get pretty much everybody involved. You win prizes and shit. Sometimes seat upgrades. They do. I think basketball does a very good job in promoting the fan experience during commercial breaks and stuff. Rather than football, you're just kind of sitting there doing nothing for 3 fucking hours in between plays. I'm done with that shit. So I think basketball it does a very good job in promoting it. They actually play music there. Football does the elevator music. It just gets very boring, So I got burned out of that shit. I don't have a fan experience going to a football game anymore. Now, if I'm going to go to a football game, I'm going to go to a Longhorns game. I'll go to a college football game because I feel like I'm going to get more bang for my buck and be more entertained versus going to an NFL game where it's just kind of lackluster, boring, and kind of you're just sitting there for 3 hours doing nothing. How long will it take for people to respect Steph Curry? I think they already have. I think people have already had the respect for Steph Curry. I think that at this point, now that we've lost 5 times to him, I think like the respect was always there. I just didn't like him because he always beat us. You know what I'm saying? So it's that rivalry, lack of respect. But outside of that, I have a lot of respect for him. I think now it's after this series win, it's just like people thought, well, maybe his time is over. He washed up. He's not as good anymore and stuff. And now it's kind of like he's sort of gotten that stigma back, And I think at this point, Stephen Curry does have respect. I just think what it is he had to have other players that need to step up. Buddy Hield's that guy. He built they have a bench there too. I like Quentin Post. He's pretty good. Pat Spencer is another one. Is it Pazitsky or however you say his name? Is not that bad either. So the Warriors are, and then they got what's that name? Moody, Kevin Moody. Is that his name? Moody, Mooney or Moody? I can't think of his name. Young guy. He's pretty good. Moses Moody. That's who he is. Moses Moody. He can shoot too. Gary Payton II. He can shoot as well. He's a pretty good shooter. So the Warriors do got a good roster surrounding cast. Plus Dre, adds that sort of like that hype man to the team, that trash talking that you need, that Dennis Rodman sort of feel, the rebounder, the rim protector. And to be fair, he had a 16-point game in Game 7, so got to give him his flowers for that. I think Curry does, definitely gets the respect. You know, I think after this series, it's sort of like, revamps the Warriors, I guess. Fans get that experience now that, kind of gives them the good glory days when Curry was winning with them. Can they maintain that? It's going to be the question. Can they run that gauntlet? After that, having to go on the road as a seventh seed and having to depend, not having that necessarily at home court advantage. That's going to be an interesting question, because Minnesota's going to try to defend home court. It's going to be a very interesting rest of the playoffs. 2 good games tonight. So I'll probably do a video in the morning and probably cover more basketball. And I'm off Wednesday, Thursday, so whatever games are on, I'll probably maybe do a live stream, kind of like a audio play-by-play. Amazingly, NBA struck one of my videos down. The Rockets-Warriors game, I think that was game 2 or game 1. And amazingly, they took the strike away. So I don't know if it was like I peeled it and they just said, oh, we feel sorry for this guy. His channel ain't shit. Let's take it away. We got bigger fish to fry. Because there were like other streamers that had like hundreds of thousands of followers. And they were actually streaming and showing the game. I wasn't. I showed a little bit of the game, but not much. But, I got kind of carried away and showed like 2 minutes of it. And that's when it got flagged. And that was on me. And that was on me because that's copyright. And so I apologized. I sent an appeal and said, hey, whoever's watching this, I apologize for it. Won't happen again. I'm not making any money off this video. No excuse, but it won't happen again. And all of a sudden, miraculously, the strike went away. So I think they kind of felt sorry for me. And like, okay, give you a warning, but don't do it again kind of ordeal. So I'm going to try not to make that mistake twice. That was a lesson learned. That was a lesson. Would you like to see Warriors and Lakers instead of Warriors Minnesota? Yeah, just for the fact that it would have been a rematch of the last time I think the Lakers beat Warriors in 6. And the Warriors fans would have loved to stick it to LA, right? This time in a rematch, right? Or potentially a rematch. But we're not going to get that. We're going to get a young and improved Minnesota team who is, better than the Lakers. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how battle-tested the Warriors are going to be against the Timberwolves in the second round. And is Ant the real deal? Is he over cocky and arrogant for the wrong reasons, or is he over cocky and arrogant for now the right reasons? Is he going to be able to have these role players? Is Rudy Gobert going to have that same performance he had in the last series, double a game? Is Julius Randle going to be a big presence? How's that Draymond Julius Randle presence look? It's going to be very interesting. All these 4 matchups are going to be very, because now they realize they've already been past the first round, and now it's just like it's a race to the finish line now. It's a sprint, not a marathon. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's a continuous number of games. So, these teams are playing for the right to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Who will it be? Unpopular opinion, Curry over LeBron. Oh, that's a tough one. Oh, God. I mean, with all due respect, LeBron has played 22 years in the league. I think he's going to be heading into 23 next year. That will tie Vince Carter's record for the most years in the league. And it wouldn't surprise me if LeBron plays for a 24 season. It wouldn't shock me. I see that coming. I think he wants to break Vince Carter's record. And it wouldn't shock me if he, maybe does a 25-year in the league. I just don't know if it's going to be in LA. I think if you're LeBron, if you're trying to, I don't know if I want to say chasing Jordan, but if you're trying to get that 5th ring, just to say you got it, you got a banana boat somewhere. I'd say go, follow where the veterans are going and go right behind them. Do the same shit. I mean, if I'm LeBron, I would look at my options and say, okay, what are the teams on the board? Denver's got Jokic, Jamal Murray. That would be pretty easy there. I mean, if you're in the Western Conference, would he go to Golden State? I don't know. Does he want to go the Kevin Durant route? Yes, he'll win 2 rings with Golden State. But would it make any sense? Kind of looks like the Kevin Durant thing, He could do that. Or does LeBron stay in LA and go to the Clippers and play with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard and Bob Donovich and who else? Powell. And you do that and Zubac. Just there's a lot of there's a lot of options. Or does he just go to Dallas and take his talents with Kyrie, AD, and then and AD and Clay, AD, Kyrie, LeBron? I'm just weighing options. And to be fair, the Mavericks do have a roster outside of those guys. Najee Marshall's one of them. Guy's fucking beast. Derek Lively Jr. or the third. Sorry. They got a pretty cold roster over there. Just throwing that out there. There's other tangibles, but contributing to winning, Steph checks more boxes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe I talked basketball for an hour and 25 minutes, and I got to work another 12-hour shift today, another 12-hour shift Tuesday, and then I'm off Wednesday, Thursday. Yay, how time's going by so fast. I'm happy. I had a lot of fun, man. This NBA season's been a lot of fun, and the Rockets didn't win. I called it. I said it was going to go to 7, and that's exactly what it was. It went the distance. It took 7 games. And I had a lot of fun. And, I'm just excited for Rockets basketball and to see exactly what this team has to offer for next year. What are the free agent moves we make? What are the other free agent moves that are making the NBA? The schedule and everything. I'm just excited for basketball again. So, again, season's not over yet. We're still in the second round of the playoffs. So we'll see what happens from here on out. It's going to be fun. And I just want to say that if you're a Rockets fan, hey, man, we have all to look forward to. We got a bunch of young guys on the team that are very talented, and just, let's see where this goes. There's no need to blow it up. There's no need to say, fire this guy, fire that guy. Our head coach is pretty good. Our general manager, our front office is very good. They've drafted right in the draft the last 4 or 5 years, and we've been acquiring picks, and we've been getting results. So, the sky's the limit. So, like I said, I wouldn't touch this roster at all. I'd keep the guys we got and just run the course. We didn't win 52 games for nothing. That's the old saying goes. We overachieved this year. We went from 41 wins last year to 52 wins this year. 11-game increase. And went to from the 11th seed to the 2nd seed this year. We killed it, in my opinion. The progression is what matters, and I think we progressed more than that. Our draft picks are starting to show. All those draft picks we got over the years since the Harden trade are starting to show. I like it. I love it. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys for being on and taking the time to watch my video. I will probably do a video tomorrow and cover the games that are going on today. Thunder, Nuggets, and what is the other one? It's Knicks, Celtics. Yeah, so I'll cover those tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys for watching. I'm going to get to bed now because I'm fucking tired. Going to bed.